We're gonna get started. It's 4:30 or 4:31, and so hopefully everyone's here. My name is Willie Cruz. I'm one of the recruiters here at Purdue University. So I get to recruit faculty and staff members to come and work here. And so I'm one of, 16? One of 16 recruiters on our team. And I specifically focus on or help with identifying diverse talents or diverse talent across the country. And so that's what I do. I've been at the university for 17 years, actually. I've been in that role for about just less than a year, but I've been here on campus for 16, almost 17 years. I started working in what used to be the Division of Housing and Food Service. It's now the Division of Student Life. And I was primarily working with the RAs and the professional staff who oversee the RAs and who work with our residents. How many of you live on campus? Most, if not all of you. Okay. How is it? Okay. It's great. We try to do our best to make sure that we maintain our facilities, to make it engaging. If I can give you an advice, and this is not part of what I was asked to do, but if I can give you an advice, make an effort to attend those dinners with your RAs. Make an effort to attend those hall meetings, those community events, because the RAs work really hard to bring you all together. And so, I know it's always difficult to attend those events, but if you can and if you're available, make an effort to be there because it means a lot to the RAs. But anyway, so today I was invited to talk about, to share some of my experiences, to talk about leadership, and to sort of help you, or not help you, but just share my experience and talk a little bit about how I define leadership. But let me start with a question. And so I believe I think I'm going to speak for about 20, maybe 30 minutes, and then we'll have a Q&A session. But I like to make my conversations interactive. And so I'll be asking questions throughout, for the next 15 minutes or so. But I'm interested in learning from you first about EPICS. What is it? Who can tell me what EPICS is all about? Or what's the essence of this program? Yeah, go for it.
The essence of the program is taking engineering and trying to integrate it into community service. Okay.
So community service is key.
Yep.
What are some of the projects that you get to work on? And I thought I saw someone back there, maybe? No? Yeah.
My team's currently working on a retractable cable system for vital machines, the cords that are on vital machines, so organizing them and protecting them from damage.
Okay. So community service, so in essence, you're trying to improve the community, right? Our local community for sure, but you're having an impact that reaches way further than our city limits. So a couple of things. So let me start just a little bit about myself and sort of how I ended up here, what brought me here, and then I'll share a few points, a few takeaways that it has to do with sort of your work in EPICS, but also your work as students and your work in the community. I was born in Mexico and grew up in Southern California in the San Diego County area. Went to school there, did two years of community college there, and then I went on to the University of California at Santa Cruz, so up by San Francisco, and that's where I got my bachelor's degree in It was in education and history. And my goal back then was to teach history at the high school level. And so that's what I wanted to be a teacher. That was my thing. That was my passion. And I got to do that. I got to be an assistant teacher for one semester. And it was pretty tough. It was difficult. Primarily because I was asked to, or assigned to work with students, with at-risk students who have pretty much given up on their education. And the school, the system, had also given up on them. And so sort of the attitude was, yeah, here are your 16 students. They're gonna drop out. So just be there and just wait until they eventually leave. That was sort of the attitude. And that made it difficult for me because, here I was trying to make a difference. Here I was passionate about wanting to teach, wanting to connect with these students. But again, the system was, the attitude was that these students were not worth, perhaps. And so I ended up, most of them did drop out that semester. And so it was difficult to sort of, to see them leave. And a lot of them, many of them were in the legal system, dealing with the criminal justice system. And so some of them did end up ended up in juvenile detention. Others just dropped out because they just didn't think that education was worth their time. And so after that, I decided I wanted to, or I started thinking about my career path. And so I only had a bachelor's degree. I started asking my counselors, started asking a couple of the professors that I worked with during my undergraduate years about other alternatives for me. And so I had been an RA for 2 years at the UC Santa Cruz. And so I kind of liked that. I liked the idea of, being on campus, working with college students. It was so, to me, the way I saw it was, I still get to teach in essence. I still get to work with young adults. But I'm here in a campus setting, and the students that are at the university are there because they want to be there, right? And so talking with the professors and some of the counselors, they suggested going into higher education administration, and doing a master's in that field, because that would then prepare me to work in a campus setting. Now, back then, I had no idea, right, that there were jobs on campus other than teaching, or that had nothing to do with quote unquote teaching, right, in a classroom setting. I didn't know that. It never really crossed my mind, even though I was an RA, even though I had a supervisor, right, who worked full time at the university. And so, but it never really crossed my mind that I could work in a university. And so I went on to get my master's degree from the University of Vermont in Burlington, Vermont. Anyone from New England? Which part? From Connecticut, okay. Yeah, neighboring state. So I went to the University of Vermont, was there 2 years, and I got involved with admissions. That sort of became my thing. That became my passion, working with high school students. Again, tying it's sort of everything, ties together, right? I wanted to be a high school teacher. That didn't happen. Went on to work in a campus setting. And I ended up doing admissions. So working with high school students and helping them to navigate the process. Now, obviously, all of you are here. All of you successfully completed the process, but it's a tough process, deciding where you want to go. So when you're in high school, you're trying to decide, how to navigate the process, right? The admissions process. And I was sort of asked or tasked with working with inner city school kids. And so I was assigned to my recruitment area or recruiting area became New York City and, sort of the Bronx area, Upper Manhattan, and also Boston. And so those were the two cities in which I sort of, ended up spending a lot of my time just working with those, those students, but also working with the counselors in those inner city schools. And it's sort of, as I think about it, my work as a teacher, right, in California, in a way helped me and prepared me to what would eventually become my sort of my professional work, doing admissions. And so I did that for a couple of years, was an admissions recruiter, left the University of Vermont, went to another university down in Florida, in Miami, Florida, worked for a couple of years there. And then I was sort of, I came across an amazing opportunity at Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana. Now, so back then I had no idea about the area. I had heard about Purdue when I was in undergraduate school, but never really looked into it. And so when I came across this job doing diversity work in the Division of Housing and Food Service, right, at Purdue University in West Lafayette, I thought, well, no idea where that's at, but sounds like an interesting job and an interesting opportunity. And I started reading up on, learning about Purdue and learning about the community. And so the more I read about it, the more excited I got about the possibility of coming here. And so I went through the process. I ended up getting the job back in 2006. And I thought, back then I thought, well, I'm gonna go to West Lafayette, I'm gonna go to Purdue. I'll probably be there for, 2, maybe 3 years. It would be a great, great professional opportunity for me. And after 2, maybe 3 years, I go on to another, relocate, go back to Southern California or possibly even South Florida, right? And so that was my mentality. That was the idea back then. But I ended up loving it, and so this place sort of became my permanent home. And so here I am 17 years later. So started doing diversity work for the Division of Housing and Food Service. So I work with with all of the staff who run our residence halls, who run our dining courts. So I did a lot of diversity training and general training. But it was primarily geared towards the full-time employees within the Division of Housing and Food Service, now the Division of Student Life. And then I was given the opportunity to sort of continue working on diversity initiatives, but overseeing a program that I sort of helped create back in 2010, which is called, was or is still ongoing, but it's called the University Residences Global Program. Has any of you heard about You Are Global by any chance? No? So it was, so You Are Global, it's a program, within university residences that basically works with first-year students. It's open to first-year international students primarily. And the idea is to work with our international students during that first year and make sure that we are supporting them, but that we're also getting them connected with campus resources. And so we do a whole bunch of activities throughout the semester and throughout the year. And again, the goal is to build connection and helping our international students be successful here at Purdue University. So I created that program, and then a year later, I was asked to come up with a similar program, but for first-year domestic students. first-year domestic students, and that program ended up becoming the University Residences Multicultural Connections. And again, same idea, but different populations. So, all of you live on campus. If you get a chance to attend one of those events, do so. Look for flyers, look for emails about You Are Global or You Are Multicultural Connections, because those are pretty neat events. It builds community. It helps develop those leadership skills, right? And so I did that. So I oversaw those two programs for about 8 years or so. And then I was given the opportunity to move into human resources and start working on recruitment efforts for faculty and staff. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 10 months. So real quick, talking about some of the things that I consider are essential when it comes to leadership, or that I see in leaders. The first thing is cultural competency. Who can define that for me? What does that mean? What does it mean to be culturally competent? Yes?
Being able to understand and appreciate all the different cultures.
Yeah. So being able to understand and appreciate other cultures or other people and other perspectives. So, college is an amazing, it's a unique experience, right? And certainly a place like Purdue University with like over, almost 50,000 students, right, at this campus. This is a unique opportunity for you all to get connected with people and with other students, because that gives you an opportunity to learn how other people see the world. Right? In a lot of the diversity training that I did in this past 16 years, the main focus or my goal was not to change people's ideas or change people's views. Right? I never approach my diversity conversation with that idea, with that mentality that I have to change how you think, or I have to change how you see the world. That was not my thing. My thing was understanding the different perspectives, right? And helping people sort of understand perspectives and be respectful of that. And so, so being culturally competent means, right? Being open to what other people have to say or to how other people think. Because then you can learn, right? One, you learn something new, and two, you're able to effectively connect with people, right? When you really listen to what people are saying, even if it goes against your values, if it goes against your views, if you make an effort to hear what people have to say, I think you'll become a better person, and you'll become a great leader. So that's one, being culturally competent. The other thing is that I see in leaders, in effective leaders, is this idea or their ability to collaborate and their willingness to collaborate. And so you're constantly, right? So effective leaders are constantly looking for ways of connecting with people, helping each other out, looking for win-win opportunities. In my time here at Purdue, I've come across professionals that only reach out to you when they need help with a project, when they have a question, right? That's when they reach out to you. And so I see that. To me, that it sort of rubs me the wrong way, because I'm like, why? How come you haven't reached out to me in the past month or in the past year? Just to say how things are going, or find out about projects that I'm working on. Why now, and why just a question, or why are you asking for help? So it kind of rubs me the wrong way when people just reach out to you when they need help. And I try to, I try to learn from that. And so I make an effort to connect with people, to reach out to colleagues all the time, and especially when I don't need a favor. And I'm constantly reaching out to people and saying, how are things going with, for you? Do you need help with anything? What are you working on? How can I help you? And so, again, by doing that, you're able to connect with people. You're able to develop good working relationships with people. And people, and you develop, people are going to like you and people are going to trust you. And so in this past 17 years here at Purdue, because I've been that's been my thing, making sure that I'm always offering my assistance to others. I've been able to develop amazing relationships with people. And whenever I need help, right, people are willing and they're eager to help me out with whatever it is that I need help with. But again, collaboration. This is key. And this is what you're doing, right, with EPICS. This is what you're doing with your program. You're collaborating, you're working with your individual groups. You're collaborating or working with the community or members of the community. But keep doing that and make sure that sort of becomes a thing. Not just because you're going through this program, but you also do it, with your other classmates, in the residence halls. Start developing that skill. This sort of goes with it, but teamwork, right? The willingness to be a productive member of a team, right? You're a team player. And so making sure that, that as a team member, that you're willing and able to work as a team, or that you're a productive team member. And that you contribute, right, to the team. Whenever we work on teams, for example, we all sort of want to be the leaders, right? We all want to sort of lead by, because, not lead by example, but we want to be the leaders of the team, because we like to talk, because we like to delegate, because whatever the case might be. But effective leaders, effective team members are also the quiet ones, are also those who listen to what others are saying. Effective team members are the ones who are able to sort of connect the dots, right? So if you're the one that likes to lead, likes to talk, that's great. But if you're the one who rather listens to what people are saying, you just know that your contribution is also, and your voice is very important. So don't just be a member. Make sure that you're participating and that you're providing input every once in a while. The last thing that I'll share with you all is the importance of being, or leaders, the leaders that I've come to respect and admire. One characteristic that I see in them is that they are results driven, and that they don't shy away from data, from analyzing, looking for data, analyzing the data, and interpreting data, right? So leaders have goals. They sort of know where they want to go, where they want to be in a month, where they want to be in a year. They have this amazing ability, right, to create this timeline and sort of visualize how their future is going to be professionally, right? And so set goals and stick to your goals, right? And write things down, put it on the, on your door, on the mirror, whatever one goal, whatever, or identified one or two key goals. that you want to accomplish this semester or this year, or perhaps during your time here at Purdue. And write it down and keep revisiting that goal, because that is going to help you, right, get to where you need to be, and get the best of this amazing experience. I work with the guy I had the opportunity to meet. His name is Art Norrens. University Residences has a program that is called the Executive in Residence Program. Executive in Residence Program. That's another program that you should all look into. It's open to all residents, and in essence, to all students. The Executive in Residence Program. And University Residences brings an executive, a Business 500 executive, or executives back to campus for a few days, and they get to actually stay in one of the residence halls. So they're here for actually anywhere between 3 to 5, 6 days, and so they come here, they meet with students, they do presentations, and they share. And by the way, all of the executives are Purdue grads. Right? They came to Purdue, graduated from Purdue, and they're now leading, multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar companies. One of those individuals is a guy by the name of Art Norrens. He's the guy who came up with the concept of the computer language that made Orbitz and Expedia sort of do their thing, right? So he was a guy who, when he was a student, or actually right after graduating from college, he started traveling for work. And one of the things that he noticed was that hotel rates, like when he was staying at hotels, he would ask the people at the hotels. He would say, "Well, how many of your rooms are sold out or taken up?" And sometimes they would say, "Well, I don't know, maybe 30% of our rooms are filled or sold." And that sort of became his thing. And his goal back, when he was a young professional or an entry-level professional, his goal was to come up with a system that would help hotels increase sales by developing some computer language that would automatically adjust the pricing of a room based on availability. And that sort of became Orbitz, and those sites that adjust the pricing of hotel rooms, but also airfares and things like that. So very interesting guy. So that was sort of something he wanted to do. He was clear as to how. He didn't know how he was going to make it happen, but he was passionate. He thought that was something that could, well, not only make him money, a lot of money, but that was something that could benefit, right, society. And so, one other thing that and then I'll turn it over to you all for questions and for conversation. Another executive in residence, and I can't remember, I think he's the guy who works for American Express. Purdue grad, went on to work for American Express, and he's now the chief financial officer for American Express. Came to campus. One of the things that he said that really got me really thinking and analyzing my own sort of my personal and professional life. He said that we are a product of the people we surround ourselves with. And he took it even further than that. He said, so one advice that he gave to the group that he was talking to, he said, assess your friends. Think about your 5 best friends. And really pay attention to who they are, what they do, their goals, how they behave. And he said, and those are, you sort of become your friends. And he said, if you love how, if you love those individuals, if you admire those individuals, then that's great. Keep them within your circle, within that close circle, because you will become like them. But if you don't like how they behave, if you don't like certain things about them, maybe they don't go to class, maybe they don't, whatever, right? The case might be. Then, consider putting, separating yourself from that individual or those individuals. And so, as you're thinking about goals, as you're thinking about leadership, start asking yourselves, like, what do you value? What are the things that you value in people, right? And consider looking, right, for classmates and hanging out with classmates who are that, who can become a role model for you all. So yeah, so he said, look at, think about your 5 best friends, or your circle of 5, of 5 friends or 5 people that you hang out with the most, and assess each and every single one of them. And he said, you are, a version of them all. And so, questions. What questions do you have for me? Or what questions do you have about this idea of leadership? Or even about Purdue, right? What questions do you have for me? Yeah.
Do you have any advice on building trust in a team?
It's a very good question. Building trust on a team, but I would say that this is probably it in general, and you can sort of apply this to any setting. But being honest, so sort of honest and transparent more than anything. Don't pretend to be something that you're not, right? Be transparent, be yourself. And I think once you do that, people are going to see you for who you truly are, right? Instead of having this false notion of the person that you're trying to be. And it's totally fine to say, like, for example, for me, so real quick, and I'm going to come back to this point. When I was in first year of college, we were asked to work on a project. So it was 4 of us, 4 classmates working on a project. And I can't even remember about the topic, but it had to do with being a successful student and being a team member. And that's why you reminded me of this one incident. So we all had to present for about 15 minutes in front of the class. And we worked on this presentation for, I don't know, a week or maybe 2 weeks. And each and every single one of us had a role. And we were going to talk, right, for a couple of minutes on different topics. And our grade, I want to say like 30% of our grade, 40% of our grade depended on that presentation. So we show up on the day of the presentation. 3 of us showed up or came to class. The 4th one was missing in action. So we talked to the professor and said, I think, maybe something happened to him. And by the way, this is before cell phones, before, social media. So we could, it wasn't like we could just call the person or text the person, right? So there was, I think pagers were the thing. Beepers, I don't know if any of you remember those things. Those were, that was the thing. But anyway, so we talked to the professor and said, so-and-so is not John. John's not here. I mean, he might be running late. Can you, he said, okay, if we start, if we're the last group to go. And she's like, yeah. And the professor was, accommodating. But John never showed up. Never did. And so when we saw him again, a few days later, came to class and we're like, John, what happened? And the professor was able to reschedule our presentation. And so, our grades took a hit, but we were like, John, what happened? I thought we talked about this presentation, and you were supposed to come through, and you were a no-show. And the way he responded was, he said, well, since our presentation was on leadership and teamwork, I wanted to teach the team the importance of being reliable. We're like, what? He's like, yeah, I just felt that, by me not showing up, that was going to be a great lesson. So that was, and you could, the three of us saw through what he was trying to do, right? And so as you talk about building trust, right? He could have, we tried avoiding him for the rest of that semester. And because he became the most unreliable individual, the most unreliable classmate, and not just the three of us, but the rest of the class. I don't know, must have been 20 people in the class. They were like, no, we don't want to work with this guy. So building trust is being yourself, being your authentic self, being honest and being transparent, and saying this is who I am. This is what I can. This is what I can contribute to the group. Another question. Yes.
What is your advice on being an effective but kind leader, especially when you're the leader of people who are older than you and more knowledgeable?
Advice on being effective and kind. And I'm repeating it so that you can, right? So that you can hear that. So being effective, kind, and when you're older?
No, when you're younger.
Oh,
when
young.
You're having to gain the respect of those who are above you in knowledge and in age.
This sort of, it sort of ties with, again, what I was talking about earlier, being honest, follow through on your commitments so that you don't let people down, right? So if you're gonna say, because you're all young and you're establishing your reputation, you're becoming, professionals, and so people are going to remember you by the things, not just what we say or what you say, but what you do and whether or not you follow through. And so if you say, I'll get back to the group tomorrow with an answer on whatever you're working on, then make an effort to get back to the group within, the 24-hour window. Because if you don't, then people are going to start labeling you, unfortunately, right? They're going to start seeing you as the person who doesn't follow through, the person who's not reliable. And so if you're trying to establish trust, and certainly if you're working with older, either older students, or if you're working with professionals or community members, right, who have been, who are older and who have been professionals for several years, make sure that that you follow through and that you set clear expectations. So that's also, you could ask the team, you could ask the person that you're working with, you could say, what should I expect from you as my, as either the leader of my team or as a team member, and what do you expect from me, right? And start having those conversations so that you truly understand. And this sort of goes back, right, to the cultural competence piece. So when we think about, cultural competency, it's not just about being able to work with people who are different than you, right? Or students from a different country or a different culture. But it's also being able to, make an effort to understand sort of what people are thinking and how they process things. So asking that question as to what do you expect from me, and what should I expect from you? So I hope that was helpful. Yeah. Other questions? Maybe from this side of the room. No questions? This is the quiet side. What do you like most about this program?
The amount of freedom that the faculty give you. I'm a senior in ME. Most projects are very guided and don't come to fruition.
Okay.
Whereas in EPICS, there's actually, we work at our own pace. We get what we put into it, and in the end, we have an actual product that we can actually deliver.
And now, you all come from different majors, or is this part of the College of
We all come from
Engineering?
different majors.
Different majors, so it's not okay. So that's a neat thing, and having and being able to say, yeah, I developed this program, or I helped develop this program. That's amazing. And I actually work with Haley. I don't know. She's the director, Haley. Yeah, she's the director of the program, right? So I've been working with Haley for the past 8-10 years. And so she and I go way back, and we started in, she was in university residences for a while. And so it seems like a great project or program. Any other questions or comments? Yeah.
I wanted to go back to, you were talking about working with at-risk children mostly when you were both after college and then when you were you were in Vermont.
Okay. Yeah.
But you were also saying how you wanted to work with them and learn about them, but not try to change the way they think. What did you, when you were working, especially that one semester when you were working in high school, how did you, grow to understand them without trying to push them in a certain direction away from what they were doing?
Yeah. So back then, and that was in California, by the way. So you at the UC. Well, after my completed my bachelor's degree. So the whole idea when I was talking about sort of being open-minded and approaching my work in diversity, right? In terms of not wanting to change people's perspectives, but understanding how they see the world, and hopefully them, people allowing me to share with them how I view the world, right? And so when I was teaching, when I was working with those students, I hadn't fully developed this sort of concept about being culturally competent. I was still a work in progress. But I knew that I was a teacher, and I knew I was asked to inspire, to teach this group of young adults or high school students. And so what I was trying to understand, I was trying to teach, and I was trying to keep them in school and connect with them and finding a way of making school relevant, making high school, right, interesting for them. And so I was trying to come up with different things. I even did a field trip. I brought him to campus, to the university. And so, but what I learned as I sort of connected with them one-on-one, one of the things that I learned or became obvious to me was that they were first-generation college students, or the first one who would have gone on to college. Drugs in the family was a thing, right? Either drugs or crime. That was sort of part of their lives. And the community, like their neighborhoods, the places where they lived, were areas in which crime was just a thing. And so what I was trying to sort of, and again, I hadn't developed this idea of seeking to understand, right? But what I was trying to do even back then, when I was, right out of college, what I was trying to do with these students was to perhaps offer them a different reality or version of reality or an alternative to everything that they were dealing with on a daily basis. So I would talk to them about college. I would talk about the greatest things about college, right? And I tried very hard to demystify the college experience, because I was also a first generation college student. So I'm one of three children, and I'm the only one who went on to college. And one of the things that I remember, and certainly when I was teaching, one of the things that I encountered during my high school years, as I was trying to look at college, was that I would hear the stories from current college students back then. And they would talk to me about, or they would come to the high school and talk about how difficult college was, and how how difficult, how much studying took place, and so all I heard, or throughout high school, my concept of college was reading and writing and going to class 24/7. That was my idea, my concept, right? And so don't get me wrong. I mean, you're all committed students. You're all working really, really, really hard, right? But you also find the time to perhaps go to the game. You also find the time to perhaps hit the co-rec, right? Socialize with people, attend events, have fun. And so I didn't know any of that when I was in high school. I just thought, reading and writing and going to class, and that's it. No fun. Why should I go to college? Right? And so I sort of, I reflected on that experience. And by the way, when I got to college, I was expecting nothing but that. But I got to college and I'm like, this is not bad. I get to go to class. I don't go to the same class every single day of the week like in high school, right? I go either 2 days a week or 3 times, or 2 days. Two times a week or 3 times a week, right? And I get to create my own schedule. And if I don't want to start early, if I'm not, I've never been a morning person, so most of my classes were in the afternoon. So I'm like, this is not bad. And so I tried to demystify the whole the idea of college. And I would tell these students, these high school students, I would say, hey, college is, it's actually, it's really fun. It's really, it's amazing. You're an adult, you're able to make your own decisions, you don't have your parents telling you what to do. And so I try sharing that other reality about college in hopes that they would just give it a try. But it was tough, and unfortunately, none of them were able to even graduate from high school. And so I tried whenever I can, whenever I get the opportunity to work with high school students, but also just the community and young adults, right? Certainly at-risk students or students from low economic backgrounds. I tell them about the fun things of college because I don't want to scare them away. The homework, the papers, it's college. But I want people to also know that, hey, we get to rush the court or the field. We get to go to, So I'm constantly telling, when I talk to at-risk students or, high school students, I tell them about I tend to focus on the fun things. And then, obviously tell them a little bit about, what it's like to write a research paper or do research. But, yeah. Another question, how much time do we have? Actually, do we go until 5:30 or 5:20? 5:30. 5:20? Okay, yeah. So 5:20. So this is what we'll do. I'm gonna stick around for a few more minutes in case you want to connect. But thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the invitation. Haley does have my contact information, so if you have any questions about anything, and certainly about a job here on campus, do connect with me. We're currently recruiting for about 600 positions on campus. 600 positions, and they vary. They range from faculty positions to researchers, lab assistants, certainly service, counselors. And so if you're not sure what you want to do right after college, or if you want to hopefully you won't take a break between your undergrad and grad, right? But if you're thinking about taking a break, connect with me, because we might be able to keep you here and pay you to stay here in West Lafayette. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye. Yeah, bye. Hey, take care. Bye-bye.